Richie Lewis, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thank you.
It's good to have you, man. An up-and-coming MMA star, a world champ, but most importantly, competing in the Stalemate Street League. And is it a week now?
Yeah, I think 7 days from now.
It was the last match, the World Trials in 2019?
Yep. So 2019, 2008, 18 and 19, I think. I won the Schultz, and then I took fourth at Trials, and that was it.
Nice, man. What prompted you to get back on the mat?
I was just ready, man. I'm ready to compete. That's all I really want to do now. I'm a combat athlete. I'm not just an MMA fighter. I'm not just a wrestler. I'm not just a Jiu-jitsu guy. I want to box. I want to do it all. So I put my body and my mind into a place where I'm good enough to compete in all those things. And now that I'm here, I'm just looking for whatever opportunity comes by.
Yeah, and it's like I was reading an article that you went through like 300 some opponents before you got your last MMA fight. So like opponents for you are hard to come by in this world.
Yeah, they're pretty hard to come by. We even offered up my purse to fight some guys last time, and we literally reached out to 300 guys. I had one guy who signed the contract, and then about 4 weeks before he backed out. Then we had another guy come in, and then in the 2-week time frame, he backed out, and we had to literally reach out to 300 guys. And it was crazy. I mean, I didn't. My manager did.
Right. But you're like, the crazy thing is that you skipped the amateurs, went right to pro, and you're still having those issues with only 3 fights under your belt.
Yeah, no, not the last one, but the second one, I beat a pretty big prospect out of Extreme Couture. And I TKO'd him. And I think since I'm a wrestler, I'm not a wrestler that just grabs guys and sits on guys.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of damage to people's faces, and they're getting TKO'd, and they're getting dominated, and they're getting hurt. And I think people see that, and they don't want that to happen to them.
Well, you've had this kind of aura about you that it's more than just wrestling. You're kind of a one-man promotional show, and you get people excited about matches, and that's why I love watching you compete. And once you were at Rutgers, I'm like, man, what a perfect spot for you. But I love to hear about your story from Iowa Central because coming out of Toms River, you were looking at some D1 schools, ultimately ended up out in Iowa Central. How did you end up way at Fort Dodge?
Man, so I was a sophomore in college. In high school, and I used to look up to like Frankie Cagnina and the Gagans. And that's where they went to school. And I was an Apex guy, Damian Logan. So I was like, I was behind in wrestling. So I wasn't like a ranked guy. I was just like a good wrestler amongst the state, like took 7th my sophomore year. And I was like, I could either do school and wrestle, or I just put all my time into wrestling. And I was also wild when I was in high school. So I would just do really whatever, didn't focus on school, and then just focused all on wrestling, and then caught up in terms of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And then said I'll just go to Iowa Central. So I kind of made that commitment when I was like 15, 16.
What?
Yeah.
Dang.
I was like, I'm just not going to worry about school, get as good as I can at wrestling, do my 2 years of JUCO, and I'll have a better time. So I just made the trade-off, and it worked for me.
And did you grow up in the Toms River area?
No. So I grew up in Edison, which is like an hour north. I went to school in Edison, and then I went to school in New Brunswick, man. I went to like detention school in 8th grade instead of going to like a kid prison and stuff. I had a crazy, wild upbringing.
What so you kind of had some trouble in middle school, and then you go to Toms River. Was family there, or are you living on your own?
Oh no, my aunt was there the first year. So I went to live with my aunt. It was good. She's a follower of Christ and all that, so it's kind of a little bit of a reform. And then yeah, I lived down there with my mom. And then once Hurricane Sandy happened, I moved around from house to house. I had my uncle down there. I had some friends down there, and it was good for me though. Toms River was a really good change, and a different scenery. The demographic was different, so it was a lot easier to get by without getting in trouble.
Yeah, and they've had a storied wrestling program, and Frankie Eggers come from there. Did you have a chance to watch? What's that?
BJ, Kenny Theobald. I mean, we dealt 5. We were pretty good.
And what kind of an impact did Coach Reed have on you when you were there?
Oh man, I got a tattoo of a Raider on my leg.
Love it.
Nothing greater than a Raider. Warren Reed, he's a big influence in my life, man. I would say, Moffitt and him have been the 2 biggest wrestling coaches to have impacts on me in terms of human development. And yeah, man, he was just a legend. Get your legs back. We'd put the radio on and play like hip hop songs. He'd run over to it and kick it, and he'd be like, "What's you putting on all this cussing?" He still talk like he's from Oklahoma, you know?
Dude, I love it. How does he compare with Coach Moffitt's approach?
I think that both of them are very they're very calm. They're emotional, but they don't lead with their emotions. So like they're not reactive people. They're very, if they see something they don't like, they can choose whether they want to take action on it or not, whether it's worth it to take action on it or not. You kind of see them like think before they act. And that's something that I believe takes the ultimate power, to have control over your emotions, and then rather take action based on your emotions. You take the action based on what you believe is best. And that's something that both of them definitely did.
Yeah, it's something that's a hard thing to master for anyone. You hear about these guys who their friends are like, oh yeah, so-and-so's never blown up before, never got angry, or never yelled. And which is crazy if you grow up in a community where there's just a lot of yelling and a lot of aggression, and
exactly. And they've been mad at me. They've been mad at the guys. I've seen them yell. I've seen them lose their temper, but it wasn't all too common. And if it was to get an objective done. So, and the other thing I think is my Coach Warren Reed and Coach Luke Moffitt, they believed in hard work, man. And I had to run so much, dude. I thought I was on the track team with those 2 coaches. At Rutgers, it wasn't as bad. We didn't have to run too much, but man.
And once you got out to Iowa Central, what was your first impression of the Dirty Dodge, as they say?
So I flew out to Iowa, and then I touched down. And as soon as I touched down, Moffitt's like, "All right, I'm gonna take you somewhere," and he takes me to his buddy's farm. And there's like a billy goat there. He's like, "You want to wrestle it?" And I'm like, "Fuck it, yeah, let's do it." And let's go to billy goat. And this thing's like rearing towards me. He's like, "Grab it by the horns." Boom! I grab him by the horns, and the thing starts bucking, man. And I don't know what to do. I'm a city boy, So I'm going nervous, and I let it go. And then he tries to go again, so I start running. He's like, "Don't turn your back to it. That's when he's gonna try and clip you,
Oh
and
shit!
And they're laughing the whole time, and then yeah, I grabbed it one more time, and I was like, "All right, this thing out of my face." But he actually did that with a couple guys. And Pat Hunter, you remember Pat Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
There's a video out there somewhere. Maybe you could have sponsors for it, of Pat Hunter with a helmet on, ramming him
head to head.
Head to head.
So, like, how big does it go? I'm thinking like it come up to your hip, or is it bigger than that?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 100. It was about 130 pounds down, 120 pounds.
Damn.
Bigger than a dog for sure.
So things could go wrong if something happened. Like, it has the potential.
Yeah, but that's the fun, man. That's the fun in wrestling. The fun of fighting is the danger.
True.
That's right. Yeah. That's the excitement.
So when you got out to your dorm and you're on campus, who were some of the teammates on that initial team?
Ryan Niven, Pat Downey. I remember JJ Alpha was there. Alex De La Cruz, Malcolm Allen. He's a Greco guy. He just had his D2 guy won. He's coaching now. Who else do you have? It was pretty good. My first year, we took like third or fifth, and my second year we won it.
Dude, the story of you guys winning it your second year when you lost in the first round and you come back, dude. So before we even get there, though, we gotta, I read an article that said when you first got out there, you were still kind of battling authority. You were still going through kind of the grinds, up and downs of it. You make it all the way through the season and take second to the Cuban. I can't remember his name.
Johansi. He was actually my teammate down here for a while and fighting. We're pretty good friends now.
Got it. And so you make it through that season, and then how did that kind of impact you taking second that first year?
It just made me. I never knew how to win, man. I knew how. I was just good, and I was just getting better, and I was a lot behind. I did a lot of catching up over the years, and I was just focused on getting better at wrestling, and I didn't really know how to win, and I feel like that's what started to shift my mind to competing. I didn't really get like that like winning, some people are just winners until maybe like this year, maybe a year ago. I caught glimpses of it. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I'm gonna decline it. So I caught glimpses of it, but inconsistently. And I think that match was the catalyst for it, because I was always trying to prove it to other people that I could be one of the best in the country, one of the best in the world, that I earned to be a Division I guy, or I deserve to be a national champion, or I deserve to be a world champion, or whatever the case may be. And I was trying to prove it to everyone else. And now I just want to prove it to myself, and then because once people believe in you that you are that good, so now people are telling me, yeah, we believe in you. Yeah, you can do this. Yeah, here's a scholarship. Yeah, go represent us. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what's happening to me. So I was looking for that external validation. So then once I received it, subconsciously, like, the job was already done. You know what I'm saying? And then I kind of started to focus on how, like, real winners win. So, like, how come Astronaut is performing at this level consistently? How is Nick Soriano performing at this level consistently? When they do lose, what was going through their head? When they do win, what was going through their head? So starting to change the frame of how I approached combat, and just taking it from people who are winners. And it gets deep, man. Like, I every time I talk to Jordan Burroughs, Jordan Oliver, Donnie Pitzloff, like, top level guys, those are three guys who really taught me a lot about this. Just pick the brain and what they're doing. Then I started to do it, and now the only thing I care about is winning and competing. And I've noticed myself get 10 times better at every sport. Everything I do.
Really, it applies to everything in life.
It applies to everything, man. And it's gonna sound crazy, but I don't feel like I could lose. I could never say that before. I used to be scared to compete. I used to love to win. Love to win. And now it's what I know how to do, and I love to compete. So, you know what I mean?
So did it accompany like a difference in, like, your training habits and your preparation as well, or how did that change happen?
Yeah, definitely my training habits. So my training habits built confidence. So I had to build a very serious base. I also had to have the right people around me. When I was younger, I grew up in a middle class family, so we had resources, but we didn't have an abundance of resources, right, to do whatever we wanted. So I think I kind of realized I have to acquire resources. So once I won the world championship, I said, okay, I won the world championship, so that, and I had a great I don't want to say amazing, but I had a great wrestling career at Rutgers, and that qualifies me for something, right? Qualifies me for attention of a certain amount. It could get me in the door in certain places. And now the next thing I need to do is, like, acquire resources, fiscally and human resources, after fiscal, in terms to make my whole career work, So after I graduated from college, I just kind of focused fiscally for a year and a half, and healed my neck, healed my knee, and acquired resources, right? So then now I could pay for any opportunity that I wanted to. And people can't tell me what to do, right? So now I moved down to Miami. Now I have the right people around me because I'm able to say, hey, yo, go quit your full-time job. We're going to go do this. We have this income coming in. We have this going on. We're going to grow this business. And as we're growing this business, this is what's going to fund this. This is what's going to pay the coaches. This is what's going to pay the diet. This is what's going to get us flights. I can do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have the power to do that, you can fully focus on the sport.
Yeah.
And I feel like, honestly, that's why it's crazy, because you see generally the best athletes in the world either come from very low socioeconomic families or very high socioeconomic families. And it's because those two things, they give you two different drivers. They give you two different resource pools to use. Here you have nothing, so you have this ultimate drive. You have this know-how. You're probably going to be very athletic because your genes are based on working class or surviving class, right? And then on this side, you have unlimited resources to attention, to knowledge, to opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think that I realized was, hey, I mean, like I said, I come from a middle class family, but I also had a wild upbringing. I was in 17 different homes. I'm in detention schools and whatever. So I have this drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have this desire to be great. And now I need to acquire this side of the resources. And if I can put those two together, I think I'll become the best athlete in the world. And that's what I did. And that's what I think I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's where it all comes together. And it's also, you think about those guys who have all the resources, there's a lot of confidence that comes from seeing successful people around them. Whereas people who are in those lower socioeconomic places, they've never seen someone do the right thing consistently, so it's such an impact.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And I've seen it. And I've seen guys become the best from both and lose it from both.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the guys that can't transition from college. I've seen guys that can't transition to the next level. I've seen guys that are on huge winning streaks in MMA and fighting, boxing, whatever, and they lose it, and it's hard to get back, man. And I've studied all those guys, and it took a long time. And I think that's why I was scared to compete, because I didn't know all these things, and I did all the research, and now it's applying theory, and it feels fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's liberating to see you living like that, and you're training, you're doing your thing, you're on the upswing right now. And if we go back to Iowa Central, so that first year, you're still kind of doing your thing, you get second, then you start getting the recognition, the belief. How did you, what changed for you during that second year when they say you became like a team leader and selfless versus selfish, that kind of stuff?
I think it was just like paying my dues,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very hard worker. So I didn't think anybody really outworked me. And I think my voice was strong, but it was also a reason. I think we had a very good freshman class coming in, and I think that I would help those guys with their weight cut. I'd help those guys with whatever they needed, man. And yeah, I just wanted to win as a team. I just wanted to be part of the culture, and I really felt it there. And yeah, that was it.
What happened at Nationals your sophomore year?
I'm beating Ryan Coakley. Remember him?
Mm-hmm. He's coaching Iowa Central now, right?
Yeah, I beat him during the year, majored him, and then I was beating him by like 12 points. And it's going to be a tight race between us and Clackamas. So my coach Malta wanted me to get bonus, and I was also extremely confident. And he ended up headlocking me and pinning me. And I was up by like 12 or 13. And now, yeah, I beat the Johansi, who beat me in the finals 3 times. And then in the finals was Eleazar, and he was my teammate. And I mean, those guys that they're my friends and everything now, but that's like a pin or a tech for me,
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks. And that's also when I learned about the winning thing, and can I be a winner? Do I have this in me? you just do a bunch of self-reflection and you realize who you are. Like without those losses, like I wouldn't be in the position I am. I never in my life thought I'd be like you said. It's liberating to see. It's liberating to feel like this. And in my life, I really never thought I felt like this. Would ever feel like this.
Well, and how close were you to throwing in the towel after that first round loss and just sliding out versus battling back for third like you did? Like, what was that conversation like?
Oh, I think you already know. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, man. Yeah, it wasn't good. I definitely have dealt with depression, and I just was really depressed, man, at that point because I wanted to win so bad, and I wanted to prove to everyone and myself that like I can do it, and it just was super demoralizing, man. And I definitely wanted to quit, and I came back and did it for my team and got third. There Luke Moffett told me, he's like, you got to get the next best thing. Sometimes in life you don't always get what you want, and I feel there's a big reason why I am the way I am today. More of a reason than losing, and you know what I mean. The fact that I came back and took third when I didn't want to, and the thing that fucking sucks is that like I've beaten probably like 20, 30, 40 Division I All-Americans. I've beaten national finalists. I don't know. I may be a couple national champions. I'm not sure though on that one. And I never was an All-American. And so like to me, in my mind, winning a junior college national title is fairly easy to do. There's been a lot of people that I'm 10 times better than that have won junior college national titles. There's been people that I'm better than that have won national titles and are multiple time All-Americans. Because I know, because I've actually teched multiple of them. And yeah, so it sucks that I didn't do it, but it's because I wasn't a winner yet. And like, I know I keep bringing that concept up, but like, without putting all that work in to get this good, and then those losses, I wouldn't understand it. And I feel like I was only on a high level for what, a year, my senior year, when I was ranked, I was ranked 2 behind Nolf because I had beaten Berger before for the trials, and I beat him like 5 times before that. And so he was ranked 3rd, and then I'm only on that level for how long? From 2017 November until World Team Trials 2018. That's the only time I was ever competing at a high level.
Right. Yeah. It goes fast because you won the Worlds in 2017.
2017 December.
That was fall. Yeah.
So November to the next year was the only time that I was really considered a high level wrestler. And I just had to learn how to win. And then I learned how to win, and I got to learn and then I learned how to do it consistently. So you're going to see a whole different evolution of Richie Lewis. A lot of people don't really know that. They just see who's this guy saying this, who's this guy saying that. Bro, I've been at the form at a good form for 1 year that people have seen competition wise. And now I took a break, trained MMA, did all these things, took all these lessons. Now I've been competing MMA for 1 year. I've only competed MMA for 1 year. I've trained for about 2 years, but now you're seeing a different animal come out. So you've only seen me compete for 2 years, man, at this level.
Best is yet to come then, no doubt.
Exactly. And the kid's a walking promo.
That's the best part, man. Like, even if you were as good talent-wise without the hype behind it, it's half the butter, So like
that's half the battle, bro. And guess what? These other dudes, they've been competing on a high level for 10 years, 5 years, winning national titles at Fargo. Well, my ass in the stands. Ian Miller, when I was a junior, won his first university title. When I was a junior in high school, taking 5th in the state of New Jersey.
Dude,
and that's what I'm saying. These dudes been on this level for years, man. I've been on this level for 2 years. And And look what I'm doing, man. Wait,
The
wait till I'm 5 years in.
ceiling's way higher because those guys may already be at their full potential.
Not only that, but look how much attention that I can garnish in a very short period of time.
Right.
Winning a few tournaments, the Dave Schultz and the U23s.
Dude, so let's talk about
2 tournaments. Come on. And now imagine if I'm fucking winning all the time. It's game over, man.
Dude, it's crazy to say that someone as accomplished as you think of yourself as only winning 2 tournaments, when in reality, you've probably won a lot, but like those are the only ones you put on your level that you consider titles, you know?
That's it.
Wow. So you're wrestling Ian Miller at the Stalemate Street League next week. It was supposed to be Marinelli. What happened there, man?
Marinelli's just you know what? I was going to talk shit on Marinelli, but I'll talk shit on Tom Brands instead.
Okay. So was this agreed to ahead of time, though? Like you and Marinelli agreed to wrestle, done deal.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have put out the promotion if it wasn't agreed to.
Okay.
And Alex was pretty much ready to go and ready to wrestle. Well, he made the agreement. Everything was done. And then Tom saying or thinking that we're conspiring to beat him in a short period of time and I have the advantage and it's 5 minutes and they want more time and more weight. And I'm like, bro, I haven't wrestled in 3.5 years. I'm coming to fucking Iowa. We're getting paid to wrestle. What's the problem? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's at 170 pounds and you want more weight. Okay, I'll go. El Marino doesn't have to weigh in. I don't care. I weighed the other day 166.8. That's why I put the video up. And Tom was like, yeah, everything's on Richie's terms. Yeah, no shit, because I'm a businessman. I know how to negotiate. Of course, things are gonna be on my terms. I said, but you made the agreement. But you know what? I don't care. I just want to wrestle. We could both make a little money. We could both have a good time. I think it's beneficial for me, win or lose. So whatever rules that you want, we could do. You know,
unlimited weight class, unlimited time. Let's do it, dog.
Let's do it, because I know if it goes to unlimited time, it starts pulling on my head too hard. I might throw him with a couple of these. So I was hoping they would agree to that one.
Well, it's like you said, though. I mean, you haven't been. I know you've been wrestling for training, but not like college wrestling. He's coming off a season, you know, so I don't see how it could be advantage one way or the other in that sense.
And I compete at 155 pounds.
That's right. Oh, yeah, you fight, man. So when you won that world title, what was that, 55-ish?
54.
Yeah. Dude, I thought you'd never see that weight again, man. Seeing how sucked down you were, but it's just crazy to see how much you've changed your diet and your discipline, because that's your that's your fighting weight, right? 155.
Yeah, 155 is my fighting weight. I'm a big boy.
Dude, how big were you the day after that weigh-in at the at Poland for the Worlds?
172, 173
in one day. Wow.
Yeah.
And you don't even get that big now, because like you said, when you were kind of goading Marinelli, you stepped on the scale 166. So you've leaned out quite a bit.
Yeah, that's because I have a fight coming up though. I normally am around like 176.
Got it.
Yeah.
So going back to stamets, you hear that it's off, and then are you thinking the whole thing's off, or you knew there'd be someone to step in?
I'm like, bro, I already set up a clinic in Iowa. Like, I'm trying to get paid, bro. Like,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was like, above all else, like, I'm 27 years old, you know, like, I run businesses, I fight, but I'm not in the UFC yet, you know? And honestly, we're getting paid good money to do that. Like, on that weekend, I was making 10 figures off of wrestling.
Wow.
I mean, sorry, not 10 figures, but 5 figures.
Right. 10,000. Yeah.
Doing 2 clinics, the match. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's fucking wrestling, bro. Just like, it's easy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to make sure that I got that done and then kind of put my grips back in the sport a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's cool that you hustle like that, where you put together a couple clinics, and, you know, it's not just the wrestling, you know, you're doing a lot, giving back at the clinics, building a business. So it's awesome that you
stopped wrestling.
Money wise?
Yeah, there's no fucking money in it,
yeah.
dude. And why am I gonna wrestling is harder than MMA. Clip this. I do MMA because I can make more money a lot easier than I can win in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling is harder than MMA. The training, the matches. The only thing that's harder than MMA is the 15 minutes that you fight for, and you only do it 3-4 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're at the highest level, you only do it twice, and you get paid millions to do it.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I'm so excited that MMA's gotten as big as it has, and obviously the wrestler pipeline's insane. So Ian Miller steps in. You're wrestling him. I almost said fighting. You're wrestling him, and then going back to your main career, the fighting game. Are you down you're down in Florida? Are you at Sanford, or are you where are you at these
Sanford.
days? You are.
I'm with Greg Jones, Kami Berzini, who used to coach at Okie State, but yeah, those are my two wrestling coaches, Cami and Greg Jones, and then Mitch McKee's here, Logan Storley. Mikey Blokus actually just came down the other day. I was training with him. He just took fourth at the Open.
Yeah,
so
and that facility is massive, right?
Yeah, Barwiz. It's connected with Barwiz, who is the strength and conditioning coach at West Virginia, legend guy, and then Sanford Medical. So
yeah, and who's the striking coach? Henry Hoof.
Henry Hoof, yeah, my strength coach. He's one of my strength coaches, and so is Dieter Navarro.
Okay,
he's an up and coming Cuban boxing coach.
Got it. And so, what is like the day in the life look like for you when you're getting ready for a fight?
Man, I wake up and then, I mean, I'm pretty lucky and blessed. Like I have there's like no other word to put on it. So it's kind of like everything on one side. This guy, his name's Jerry, and he's my friend, my best friend, my brother, my business partner, my coach, my handler, slash manager. I have Paradigm Sports as Tim Simpson. Shout out. He manages like kind of McGregor. He's got a sign. He's a great manager. I have a great team, but this guy Jerry, just make sure he devoted his whole life to make sure that we can accomplish our goals of our legacy of him being a coach and me being a world champion, and then further down that is building our business legacies for our family. So a day in the life looks like, in the morning I come pick him up or he'll come pick me up, talk about what we're doing for the day, and then literally it's 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock, from training to media to recovery to business to training again. Sometimes it ends at 6, sometimes it ends at 10, but yeah, that's all I do all day. We ride around, tug it out, make sales. If I'm tired, he says, all right, drops me off. I go rest for 3 hours, picks me back up, and we get to it.
I mean, you got a lot going on too, because you got Apex Fitness, you got the NFT, which looks Aper, excuse me, Aper. I can't read my own handwriting. What is the NFT collection? Because that's fascinating to me.
So that's just a startup that we're doing right now. It's going to be a trading card game. It's called Our Gateway. And basically, we're going to release the NFTs on the blockchain, and then you're going to be able to convert the digital NFT, the NFTs into digital assets, and be able to play it in the game. And then it's an IO, so it's going to start off as a TCG game, but it's going to have a bunch of different iterations. So right now we're like building out comic books. We have like 30 people that are working for us. Actually, we're doing comic books. We're doing video games. We're going to be doing short clips and movies. You got to decide how everything gets released. It's kind of wild, man. We're signing athletes. We have like Olympians, world champions, social media influencers, like millions of followers signed to us. So it's pretty cool, man. And we're just getting an artist. That's probably the most important part, is we have some insane artists, some famous artists from around the world, from Asia, from Spain, some from America. And we haven't really started marketing yet. We're just kind of building the play system and everything. Yeah.
Oh, I just saw it on Instagram. It looks sweet. And it's an emerging technology, which it's exciting, and it's just kind of wrapping my head around it. So it's awesome that you're on the cusp of it.
Yeah, man, and it's cool. I'm a fighter, and I'm already having fun. Like you would think a fighter, oh, your daily life you fight, and like someone in my position is broke. Like we get paid fucking probably $4 grand to fight, and I get paid that because I'm a world champion. Like you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, once maybe after a couple more wins, you start making 5 or 10 thousand per fight, and it's like I'm sitting down with VCs talking about like projects and 6-figure things, and it's just like it's funny.
It's exciting though, man. You got a lot of positive energy around you right now. And one period of your life that I thought was really interesting was after your senior year in college, you go on this road trip, cross country road trip. Tell us about that and kind of what came of that.
How did you know
Do my digging, dog.
that? How did you know?
Yeah, like you mentioned in another podcast. It was one where you were sitting in a wrestling room and some guy was interviewing you and you were.
I got you. I was at the Olympic Training Center.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, man. After I got done with college, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I was like, do I want to go do MMA? Do I want to keep wrestling? Not to put anything bad out there, but there's a lot of. I was in a toxic environment where I was at Rutgers, and a lot of guys face this. I think I'll be the first guy to bring it out loudly. There's a big issue in wrestling with the mismanagement of wrestlers, I believe, across the board, of dealing with injuries, of dealing with mental health, of dealing with problems. It's win at all costs, but it's okay for what reward? And as athletes, we're supposed to sit down, we're supposed to lay down and love God, listen to what our teachers are saying, listen to what our coaches are saying, and not have our own fucking opinions. And when you come across a guy like me who doesn't give a fuck, of course I love God, But besides that, I don't give a fuck what you got to say. If it ain't the best thing for me, then I ain't fucking doing it for you. And if you want something from me, I'm gonna give it to you. But these they have to be transactional.
Quid pro quo.
And they have to be mutually beneficial. And that's a huge thing in wrestling, is that they've been able to own these athletes for a long time because it's about hard work. It's about drive. It's about putting your nose down and grinding. It's about, you think I could talk the way that I talk shit, you think I could do that in wrestling and try and compete and make world teams? No. Like, it's like, look what happened. Obviously, Pat Downey's a very extreme extreme version. I think he's done some things that are definitely over the line. But even when he does things that are not over the line, it's not cool. You know what I'm saying? And
they
it's
run
like
him out of town. Yeah.
Like Carter Starachi right now, what he's doing. I mean, like,
dude, I love
he's
that you brought that up.
He's the first guy that's able. So we're seeing the culture change. So he's like the first guy that's able to start talking shit, like how we just talked shit on Chance and Jordan the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, cool, man. Like, that's kind of cool. You should be there first. I don't think he. Right. I don't think he was. But when he's talking shit on these other NCAA guys, it's cool. But not of the go. But the fact that he can do that now and not be have his coach call him and be like, hey, you gotta take this off Instagram. Although I do believe there is some of that, because we've done a couple NIL deals where we've made dudes thousands of dollars in one day, and their coach is like, you gotta focus on wrestling. You gotta focus on wrestling. And if you see my Instagram, you'll see, obviously know who I'm talking about. But I made this dude $3,000-$4,000 in one day off of clothing.
Really? I missed that part. Totally missed that.
I can't.
That's okay.
Can't really say who it is.
That's okay.
But if you it's easy to see if you go look at who I work with. And you can't do it again because your coaches don't want you to, or the NIL deal is different because the administration at the school wants you to work differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what the fuck? I'm paying your athlete thousands of dollars, and he's happy.
Well, it kind of goes along with the theme of, now that NIL is starting to really impact transfers a lot. It's upsetting and scary to a lot of people that the athletes have the power to go now. And finally, it just seems like the tables are reversed the way they've always should have been. I mean, imagine if you had NIL in your day.
I could only imagine, because that's a big reason I went to Rutgers, because the best thing that happened at Rutgers was its fan base,
Mhm.
and what that has done for me, because I'm wrestling every weekend in front of 3,000 to 7,000 people, right? Every week, twice a week, in uh, one of the best arenas in college sports, in
Mhm.
Iraq, in
Mhm.
New Jersey, where people are rowdy and people are in your face and people are screaming and there's pressure and there's smoke and there's media
And
and
you're Mr. New Jersey,
and
bro.
your athletic director is sitting right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's dude, the rack is I've only been there once. It was the Big Ten's 2020, and it was awesome. My brother and I went, and it was rowdy. It was when Seabass announced, or he hadn't announced he was coming back yet, but he gave a shout to Jersey. And I think about how much Jersey pride you have, and I can only imagine what it was like when you were in there, and you guys were on some great teams. So you
Yeah, we beat
finished,
Nebraska. We were number 4 in the country at one point.
and you had what, Soriano, Ashnault, Van Brill, like all those guys, right?
Yeah, so my freshman year we had Billy Smith heavyweight, Anthony Perotti, me, and Brill, Ashnault, uh, Tyson Dippery. We were pretty good, and that was our best team that we've ever had for sure. Because we
Mm-hmm.
beat Nebraska, ranked top 4. Scott Del Vecchio. We were good. And then my senior year we had Soriano, Ashnault, me, and those are really just 3 bangers that we had, and everyone else was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And so after your senior year, heartbreaker in the blood round, you go on this road trip. What's your first stop?
Oh, I forgot we were talking about the fucking road trip. My first stop was to Joey McKenna's house, Ohio State.
Okay.
I
And
called Joey on the way. I bought him a bag of gabagool, and the rest is history. Swear to God.
really?
Yeah. So Joey has a house in Toms River, like a beach house. So there's
Okay.
this really famous Italian deli in Toms River. So we were leaving from Toms River. So right before I went to go see Joey, I picked it up, and him and Chase Singletary ate it up real quick.
So is Tom's River like part beach town for millionaires, part normal people? Or
Yeah, so Toms River, the socioeconomic classes go from dirt to rich. As
filthy?
rich as filthy. Like
Got it.
filth. Like most of those guys from up north, from Blair and Bosco and St. Peter's Prep, they all have houses in Toms River. So
Got it.
a lot of the wrestlers, like Astronaut and all those dudes, they all got houses down there. So growing up, we would all hang out and stuff. Toms River is probably the best place to grow up in New Jersey, because you get so culturally educated, and you got to be so smart, like to survive, and
Mm-hmm.
to thrive. And I'm a big believer in social hierarchies and stuff. And that shit taught me so much living there, because you see so much, man.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
see
you
so
can
much.
learn to be like a chameleon with different, wherever you need to be, right? So you can survive anywhere at some point.
Hey, like for a great example, I knew, like, on your podcast, you're a nice guy, so we're not going to be talking trash, and we're not going to be cussing. But you
Mm-hmm.
get on with Zeb Miller, I'm going to be screaming and loud, and and you got to learn those things. And growing up in New Jersey and growing up in like a city-ish type area with seeing a lot, you got to know how to do those things.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I saw that interview with Zeb. I love Zeb, by the way. He's the man.
He's always been the GOAT, man. He's
He's
a
the
good guy.
best. So you stop at Ohio State, and are you on this trip? I guess what I'm trying to get at is, what are you looking for on this trip? Are you trying to find out where you want to do an RTC? Are you trying to find out if you want to go MMA? Are you just trying to find out kind of what your direction is?
Yeah, I was just trying to find out what RDC I wanted to go to, and what my direction was. I was pretty committed to the 2020 Olympics. I felt like I was good enough to wrestle those guys and beat them. Um, I just wanted to figure out what the right place was for me to do that at.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and and I ended up getting hurt. Like, I was hurt for the whole season, my senior year when I came back from the Worlds, and I had to kind of wrestle through it. That's part of the reason I said the thing about Rutgers that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, once I got hurt, I was like, I won the shows. I took fourth to the trials. I wasn't really training. I was training like twice a week, and I was like, man, I know I'm fucking good, but I'm not gonna beat Burroughs with a bum neck and a bum knee. That's
Mm-hmm.
2 out of 3 after beating Kyle Dake. And if I can, but am I willing to dedicate my life towards that for the payoff? No. Okay. I'll wrestle for a year, do what I want, save up money, start my financial goals, start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestle. That'll get me by, heal my injuries, grow financially, then we start fighting. And
Yep.
I took that route, and now I'm here.
Dude, on the rise. I'm so glad you brought up jiu-jitsu, because that was the last thing I wanted to ask you about was, you're at Henzo's in New York City, one of the biggest jiu-jitsu schools in the world. You have the great John Danaher. You have Gary Tonin popping in and out. What did you pick up from Danaher and the way he teaches versus like how wrestling coaches teach?
So I think I learned a lot of different things from the different disciplines, because everything has a different style. So like in wrestling, there's a general style, right? But then there's Iowa style, then you got like Oklahoma State, and then you got Big Ten style, So I came into jiu-jitsu learning this methodical, always looking to put people in dilemmas and really thinking and isometric and chess type of jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
A lot slower paced jiu-jitsu is what I was taught there. And it's surprising how many people that do jiu-jitsu don't do that. Like in South Florida, sure, like these guys' techniques are good, and I'm not talking trash about anyone, but they smash pass, they grab you, they squeeze you, and it's like, that's not jiu-jitsu in the essence of jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like John Danaher really taught like that slow, methodic. It's mind, it's mental warfare. But as much as it's mental warfare, it's also this physical chess that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he conceptualized jiu-jitsu definitely helped slow down wrestling for me. And the way that jiu-jitsu people look at the human body is different. And I think I was able to then become a better wrestler from that. And I also think that boxing helped me a lot with that.
The way Danaher breaks it down like that is just, you watch some of his DVDs, you're like, God, that makes so much sense. And it's just so much more effective to go from 0 to 80 with him, because he's got it so broken down. And I know there are some wrestling coaches out there that have it like that, but man, it's just awesome to see his approach.
I don't think you could teach wrestling like that.
Really?
It's a different sport, man. Wrestling, I think wrestling, you got to just be athletic and know how to win. Because once you get to a certain level, if you're on this tier of, and I'm gonna say 2 weight classes, right? If you're on this tier of Zane, Jordan Oliver, Yanni, and whoever else is at that weight, right? Those are the top tier guys. They're all just as good as each other,
Mm-hmm.
The B tier, like Evan Henderson was a guy from a B tier there, and he just happened to break through. A guy like 74, North, Jordan Burroughs, Dake, right? Those guys are at the top level, and they're all as athletic as each other. And there's nothing really that B tier that you're gonna be able to teach these B tier guys. There might be one that breaks through once, like Henderson this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like wrestling is a different sport. Jiu-jitsu, you could bring a guy that never fucking did jiu-jitsu, John Danaher, to train for 2 years, and then he can be tapping out black belt to win the ADCC, Nicky Rod.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, do you think it's because of the teaching or the sport? Like, do you think it's that Danaher's that good of a teacher, or it's because the sport lends itself to that? Because that's an interesting point. Like, it takes 20 years to get good at wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's a very new sport in terms of evolution. And I think that it has to do with the way John teaches, and it's also has to do with the sport. So I think that the way that he effectively teaches the sport, I feel like there was an opportunity in the sport for someone like him to do what he's doing. And he took full advantage of it, and he dedicated his life to it. But he also dedicated 30 years of his life before now to understand the sport and come up with the cutting edge coaching style that he has, you know?
Yeah. It's, you only see the top of the mountain, but it's been years in the making, just
For
building
him,
up for him.
And now imagine this, that 30 years of work, and then he ended up being wrong about his opinion of the sport. He just so happened to be right. You know what I mean?
Right. That's true, because once you get to that point, you're at the point of no return. You can't bail on your principles at that point if it's wrong. Yeah.
Just like Elon Musk. Imagine if Tesla never worked out. That's how these geniuses come to be. And that's kind of how I'm modeling myself, man, is after what they're doing. And that's why everyone thinks that I have this different take and this different approach. It's like, yes, I do. Okay. Now let's see if it's gonna work.
Well, I'm excited to watch, man. You got some fans here in our, in Chicago, and in my family. I just love people who are outspoken in wrestling. I think back to someone from my home state, Tony Ramos. He let it out there. He gave people what they wanted a lot. And Dylan Palacio, of course. I know you guys are Bitcoin buddies. So it's just
Rutgers for Dylan.
There it is. Dylan Palacio, you've been summoned, man. Let's get you on here.
Yeah, he has, man. That dude has honestly helped me so much in like learning. He's probably one of the smartest guys I know.
He's another guy misunderstood, but like deep down, I don't know him that well, but I hear that, like you said, super smart, super nice guy, but you don't know what you're getting if you only see him through Twitter, and that's obviously not the real person.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that to know these people so deeply that when people see that, you don't think of other people's perceptions when you're thinking about your friends or yourself too often. So like I came to this realization the other day, maybe a couple over the past couple months, just is that like what the people see is Richie Savage. So when I talk like I'm Richie Lewis, some people like they don't get it. And then I'm like, and then I like there's like these two sides of me. There's like this alter ego, and then there's like my true self. And like I'm realizing that sometimes I need to be able to turn this side of me off, this savage side of me off. And some people, I think what they don't realize with me specifically is that it's kind of like also a game. So like sometimes when I cut promos or I'm saying certain things about people, yeah, the things that I'm saying might be true, and I'm not saying them to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm saying them because it's part of my fucking job. And it's awesome. It's fun. I love talking shit to Bo Nickel.
That's when this whole interview. That's all I thought about.
He is a bitch. I'm telling you, he is, and he's extremely successful, and he's a great athlete, and he's gonna be extremely successful. And I'm actually a fan of his fucking wrestling and the way that he fights and the way he's doing his career. It's fucking awesome. But don't act like you a tough motherfucker from the streets fighting these motherfuckers, dog. Don't act like you some killer. Don't act like that. Because then a real motherfucker like me will step to you. But at the end of the day, that doesn't discredit me from being a fan of his. Am I a fan of his punk assness? No, I'm not. Am I a fan of his amazing talent? Yes, I am.
Right. Right.
And people are unable to discern the differences between the two.
Well, you think about, when you were saying that, the first thing I think about is Magic Johnson and Irving Johnson. Magic Johnson is this maniac, competitive guy, showman, but then Irving Johnson is the person, right? And he talks about that a lot in his documentary, that he has two people, and the one isn't going to be friends with
watch it.
You have to watch it, bro. Oh my God. Yeah. Magic Johnson. This is
my fucking life. I'm like, bro, I've been treating my fucking mom like this. I've been treating like family members and friends and women. And I'm like, bro, damn. I'm like, I got to be able to turn the Savage off if I want to become successful in relationships. I'm like, Savage is going to be a millionaire.
You're right.
He's going to be a UFC champion. I'm
You
like, but
need
if Savage wants to have a family, he has to be able to distinguish between the two himself. And then
Yes.
now it's been giving me the opportunity to express and articulate the right perception of myself, you know? And
Definitely.
that's been what's allowing me to go back to the winning thing, go back to the liberation and go back to that and the patience and now I see why Luke Moffett and Warren Reed are able to think before they act, you know?
You got Rich Lewis, the family man. You got Richie Savage, the fucking killer, bro.
Yeah, like I swear to God, Richie Lewis has zero concern for human life. Richie Savage.
Richie
Richie
Savage.
Savage has zero concern for human life. When I step in the cage, I'm willing to die and I'm willing to kill you, and I really don't care about any consequences. When it comes to business, I'm cutthroat. I don't care if you're my best friend. I don't care if you're my family. I don't care who you are, right? But Richie Lewis has so much empathy. Richie Savage is almost made to defend this insecure, caring, empathetic person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm actually starting to feel comfortable showing that other side of myself. You know what I mean?
Definitely. No, I'm telling you, bro, you got to watch this documentary because it talks just about that for like 20 minutes. Because after he lost the magic to Larry Bird and he was just heartbroken, his heart was ripped out, all the press is shitting on him. And then you start to see Irving Johnson, the guy who like actually is vulnerable and does care and does get the press, but you would never see that if you just watched the magic part, you know, which is the outer shell. So yeah, it reminds me a lot of that.
And I feel like a lot of people like you said, I'm a walking promotion, right? A lot of people can only see inside of their box. So a lot of the fans, let's say, that hate, they say you can't do something because they can't do it. So they place their limitations on you because of course that they can't do it. They don't know how. You know what I mean? So they place limitations on you, what they see as possible, their scope of reality, right? They place their scope of reality on you. And I feel like a big thing that I'm doing and why I'm very good promotionally and why I have a cultish type following and it's growing is because the people that are following me are people who are able to discern the two, break through both, see the ego, and then see the true self of really what I'm doing. And I feel like for some people that's liberating because they can't do that, and they want to. And yeah, if I could be the catalyst for anything, it would be that.
I love it, man. I love it. Last question for you, Richie Savage, Richie Lewis, however you want to answer. You know, this podcast is called Wrestling Changed My Life. Wrestling's a big part of who you are, but how's it kind of shaping and impacting your day-to-day now, would you say the most?
Like how has it changed my life or how is it or right now?
Either way.
Man, it changed my life because I grew up hustling and I grew up doing a lot of fucked up shit. And it just kept me on the just as narrow as I needed to be to stay out of trouble or get my head too deep into the streets. So I think that that's how it changed my life, and I wouldn't be here without it, to be honest. And how it's affecting me right now is it's given me abundant opportunities, and wrestling is the best base for what I'm doing. And without my wrestling career, I wouldn't be a half. I'd be a shell of who I am in what I'm doing, both business and in MMA.
Awesome, man. And this all goes without saying that your pops was a legendary basketball coach, and yet you still become a wrestler. It's like unbelievable, the journey.
Yeah, it's because I was a fighter, man. I would go on the basketball court and someone sweat the ball, didn't like it. They'd say, "Oh, you fouled him." I'd be like, I'd start talking to the ref, trying to fight the dude. I was nuts, bro.
Dude, when you're the world champ and they do a documentary on you, I can't wait to see that footage of you fighting a basketball ref as a middle schooler or something.
We got it. Oh no, yeah. I'm talking about 6th grade, 5th grade. I was at that age.
That's not even bullshit. That's real.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's crazy.
I had to play football first, and then, dude. So I was a wrestler. I played basketball for a little bit, And then I was getting into fights and too physical. And then they were like, all right, go play football. So I went to play football, and I was pretty good. And you know who my coach was?
Scott Goodell?
Scott Winston's dad
Okay.
was my coach in Edison, New Jersey. And Scotty Winston was a couple years older than me, and he was just like, yeah, you should be a wrestler. You know, you want him to be a professional athlete. He's probably not going to be a football player. He's too small. Let's get him wrestling.
And here you are, man, on the climb up. Thank you so much for taking the time, Richie. It's been great to chat with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. You're the man. I appreciate your time.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah.